Bullet Train. This is a story about a load of hitmen and hitwomen that are on the bullet train, each with their own missions, but secretly all their missions are actually linked. And this stars Brad Pitt and a host of actors that you are going to recognize, and it's sort of a comedy and an action and a bit of a thriller, and it just takes lots of twists and turns. I thought based off the trailer this would be the type of movie that's going to be enjoyable. It's going to be a popcorn movie, but it may not hold much value beyond that. And that's pretty much the case. That's pretty much what you get with this film. It's a film that just wants to get the ball rolling fast, so before you know it, you're thrown on the train and you're getting to know all these colourful characters, you know, cutting back and forth between all the different characters, learning bits about them. It can be a bit intense initially because we're getting to know a fair few people, you know, trying to understand their objectives, but these were some colourful characters, as I said, and they were each sort of entertaining in their own way. They're all a little bit goofy in their own way, they've all got their own issues, and it's what makes their interactions with each other exciting as well. As I said, the film sort of bounces and cuts between the different characters, and it's fun seeing this story unfold, you know, in the different like train carriages. You know, in one carriage some crazy fights going on, in another carriage someone's just been murdered, in another carriage two people are just having a very peaceful time, you know, and all this like chaos is going on, but then no one else knows. There's some really cool and creative fight sequences here as well, you know, whether it be in like the dining car or like a toilet, whatever. It's exciting and it's interesting and it's creative, and the plot unraveling alongside this is interesting as well, because it's revealing what's really going on, like what the bigger picture of the whole thing is. It can get a bit confusing because I don't really think it's laid out in the best way. It's a little bit sort of random at times, the way it's structured, and ultimately I don't really think like the big plot, like it's not like a huge reveal, but the reveal of what's really going on and all these characters, you know, what they're involved in, I don't really think it's that interesting. I don't think it's that like crazy. It's more about who's gonna live and who's gonna die, and you know, who's gonna kill who. That's kind of where the excitement comes here. Now when it comes to the humor, some landed and some didn't. It's probably a 50-50 ratio. It's the type of humor that can feel forced. I always call it the Marvel humor, because it's the sort of humor where a character says a line that's trying to be funny, and either it isn't funny or it feels like something that a character just really wouldn't say in that situation. Now of course the thing with comedy is it's kind of about taking situations and making them a bit more extreme. That's where you kind of get the laughs. But I'm not a big fan of this type of comedy where it's just characters like saying things that don't even sound like something that anyone would ever say, even if they're in like a crazy, ridiculous situation. And I think you get that in quite a lot of comedies these days. It's why it just doesn't feel very authentic. It doesn't feel like just actual real comedy. But regardless, you had that type of humor here, and it didn't always land. Sometimes it did. Sometimes it's just about the delivery and the situation of when they say it, but in other times it can just feel a little bit forced. And they also had like a long-running joke in this movie. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think sometimes it worked. Sometimes it was overcooked. Sometimes it just didn't land at all. So I think, you know, it was, for the most part, it didn't really hit. Regardless, I think it was to be expected. You know, I don't think I ever thought every joke in this movie would land. But it was still entertaining and it was still funny at times. The standouts were probably Brad Pitt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Brian Tyree Henry. Although I like Brian Tyree Henry, but I gotta say his British accent, not quite right. It definitely sounds like an American who's trying to like almost do one of those accents that takes the piss out of British people, like, it's Tuesday, innit, bruv? I kind of got a little bit of that sort of vibe from him, but he was actually really good. I think he might have been the best part of the movie. Him and Aaron Taylor Johnson were really, really good, and Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt. He's always gonna, you know, do his part. And I think the movie was sort of strongest in its middle section. I think you get that with a lot of these, like, you know, action comedy popcorn movies. That's when they really hit their stride, is that middle segment. It's always the beginning and the end that are the weakest points, and I think this movie actually went on too long. You know, that's where the ending really did feel to drag a bit. It felt like it was going to end 20 minutes earlier, but it just sort of kept going, and yeah, it just didn't work. I think it needed to be wrapped up a little bit quicker, because I think they just dragged out that finale a bit too much. You know, it had like some heavy exposition in there, and the tempo kind of got brought down because of that, because it was trying to explain what everything meant and how it all pieced together. But really the heart of this movie was just all like the ridiculous action and fighting that was happening on this bullet train. Like, you've got a fight scene taking place in the quiet car, and they're trying to fight quietly so that the other people don't get mad at them for making too much noise. Stuff like that, that's unique and that was a really good, funny segment. Regardless, this was a fun movie, and it had some fun laughs and fun action, but on the rewatchability rating, I can't see myself revisiting this. Maybe a late night TV option, but even so, I think it's one of those, you just sort of see it and you're like, yeah, that was decent, and then you don't really intend to watch it again. But maybe if it came on late night TV, possibly a rewatch there. If I had to score this movie, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It was fine. It was nothing groundbreaking, nothing exceptional, nothing new in a sense, bit of a reused formula, but I was entertained for the majority of that movie. I had a laugh, I had a good time, so I can't complain. Bullet Train, have you seen it? It's worth a watch if you're considering watching it. Go watch it. You'll have a good 2 hours here. So yeah, if you've seen it, let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.